Okay, I really have to wonder that even, or at least I haven't thought about this myself like this, and I sure believe and I sure hope that many others have thought like this, which I really haven't. It's hard to put into words, but it's amazing to think that in modern Western countries we haven't really prepared for this future we are living now, because we all the time try to achieve longer lifespans, to live longer and to be more prosperous and to have less children. We didn't actually maybe think that we want less children, but it just happened because having a child is so expensive, because the child needs a lot of care and lot of things and good schools and food and toys and something to start his own life or her own life, and maybe parents want to give some head start for the children. So it has stabilized somewhere under 2, the birth rate. So, and it takes a long time to change the demographic of a country, maybe at least a generation, or maybe 2, or maybe 3. So we are not so good in thinking about the future, uh, 75 or 50 or 100 years or even 10 years into the future. But I believe it has been obvious to anyone who cares to think about what it means when we are an aging population, having fewer children and wanting to live longer and to be more rich and have a better quality of life. This all has been obvious what is going to happen. And have we prepared for it? Maybe some countries which have a pension system, they have prepared for it by investing the pension money, so it will be enough because the working force is getting smaller compared to the people who are on pension. So they have prepared, at least, and they know that demographic change is coming and it's going to continue. So, but the mainstream population, I don't, I haven't really heard about talking about this demographic change, because first it was like this in here in Finland, and many other countries is still like this. There is a lot of young people and children, and then there's few old, but it has become like this, more old. And if you get a pension after 60, 64, 65, 67, and you live until like 70 or 80, and if the birth rate is way under 2, there will be at least tens of maybe 20% pensioners or something like that, and the children doesn't work. So if you go to work at 20 and you retire at 60 and you live until 80, it's quite obvious what it means, because those who are under 20, they don't contribute anything, and those who are over 60, they don't contribute anything, and they will live until 80. So it's 20 years at top, and 20 years under, it's 40 years, and then there will be about 40 years between. So it's 50-50. 20 to 60 is 40 years about, because not everyone is going to last until the pension age and so forth. But it's really rough approximation. But it's like half of the population is working and half is not, because they are too young or too old. and not even everyone has a job. Like we have 10% without a job, so it's even worse. It's 40-60 in the maybe near future or something like this. And we cannot expect that there will come some young adults from foreign countries because they want the same as we have here. We cannot use slaves like in the old days. Maybe the slaves were necessary because they wanted to have the lifestyle until they were 100 or 90 or 60 or something like that. Though the slaves were necessary because otherwise it wouldn't have worked like that and they would have died to the old age. Only slaves could keep alive those who didn't work or couldn't work or were too old to work. So and we cannot go back to slavery. That's very clear. No one wants to be a slave. So I'm wondering, why haven't we really prepared for this demographic change more vigorously? Because even here it's something like 50-50 or even 60-40 and only 40% is working. So it's not, the reality here is something like 70 or 80% working. I don't know. No, it's not that great, but from the working age, it's more like 90%. Because when you're 10% unemployed, so from the working age, 90% is working. So it's, and the demographic change is not so dramatic now. So it's under 50% which are not contributing to the welfare. But it's going there, and the longer we live and the more prosperous lives we want to have, it's getting more difficult to sustain this all. So I don't know. I hope many have thought about this problem, but I think it's discussed way too little. And slavery is not the solution, and people dying at young age to the disease or some hazardous work or some cancer or some accidents at the work or some other issues or whatever. We don't want to die younger. That's another solution. We can die younger, and we can reverse this, because if we die younger and if we live more poor, we can go back in that. But I don't believe no one wants that. So our system have been built around this demographic, and if the system doesn't adapt, it will collapse. That's obvious. It cannot continue like this, the old system of working and living and sustaining our societies. If we try to keep it alive based on this kind of demographic, and it's more like this, it's not going to work. Many know this, I believe. I hope so, and I believe they have thought a lot about this, what to do. And if our growth is based on population growth, it's unsustainable, of course, always, because the population cannot grow very much anymore. It's going to decline very soon. So it's not going to work. Our economic system, which is based on population growth, it's all fully reversed. I have said this before, but economic growth is needed if the population grows, or if you want a better life. But if the population doesn't grow, and we don't want any better life, there is no need for economic growth. It's insane. Economic growth forever, it's insanity. You cannot do it forever. It's ridiculous to believe that anything can grow forever. It's like a tree which never stops growing. It will die. You can imagine if those trees would rise and rise and rise they are 1,000 meters long trees, they would die. Even trees are not that stupid. They will stop growing in some point. Maybe get thicker, but not higher. It's insanity to grow forever. And it's not even possible. This is tiny planet. So we have to be smarter about this, I believe. And we talk too little about this long-term future and what it means to have this kind of demographic change. And it's unavoidable. It's unavoidable if we want to live longer and healthier and be richer or having better lives. It's impossible to sustain this like this if we don't change the system, because this cannot continue like this. Many know this, I believe, because you can imagine that if you really want to live longer and then the solutions have been that you work longer, you don't get to retire earlier or so forth. But I don't know if the productivity of 70 years old is the same as 30 years old. Maybe it's better, maybe it's less. It depends on the work. But anyway, it's unsustainable like this. And our system have to adapt. We have, so far I believe we have tried to adapt to the system, and this is very painful, because it's like a torture method in the Middle Ages when the people were split into half, trying to press them down to this pyramid-shaped thing, or I don't know the English word for that now. So this pointy thing, you press the people down and they will split half and die. It's not going to work like that. We will die. If we try it, we will die, I'm sure. So we have to change the system. And we cannot adapt to this system like this. We will die. So we have to change the system. Or, well, we can choose to die also. It's a choice. But anyway, it's not going to work like this kind of system, because we want different things. We want to live longer and we want to be more prosperous. And if we don't get slavery back, or if we don't die younger and become poorer and settle for less and give up our rights, it's not going to work. No one wants to be a slave. No one wants to die younger. No one wants to be a poor person. So, only solution is to change the system very dramatically. We have to rethink everything, almost everything we have to rethink. Our monetary system, our earning system, our pensions, our welfare, or our borders maybe even. The way we use natural resources, how we think about nature, how we think about each other, social changes, everything has to be done. The whole system have to be changed, or we will die. That's very sure. We will die. Because we cannot adapt to that kind of system which is not suitable for us anymore, because we have changed. Our way of life has changed. And if we try to suit our lives to that old system which cannot sustain us, the unavoidable result is that we will lose our lives by trying to adapt to the broken system. No, it's not going to work. So I have no solutions, but I'm very sure that trying to adapt us to this current system is not a solution. The system has to change. Our thinking has to change. We cannot change back, because If you are 70 years old, you should be dead now. So you can shoot yourself. That's a solution, but no one wants to do that. We want to live. And I think it's more better to change the system and the way we live on this little planet than to die. Because the other choice is to die. Do you want to live or die? That's the question for everyone to think. Do you want to live or do you want to adapt to the system which will eventually kill you? That's the final question for you. Do you want to live or do you want to change yourself so that you can suit to a system which will eventually kill you? That's the real question. Do you want to change the system and live, or do you want to adapt yourself to a system which will eventually kill you? That's the final question and only question you have to ask yourself and find solutions. How can you live or just give up and die? That's another choice. You have only two choices, to live or die. So that's my final point here.